I had worshipped my older sister, Sophie Lane, ever since I was little. Growing up, my greatest happiness was serving her drinks, carrying her bags, and picking up her meals. After Sophie was accepted into Central University, I immediately got my SAT and skipped a grade so I could get into the same university. On the day Sophie moved into the university, she entered the dorm room with 8 bodyguards. Our roommates call her the One Queen. Meanwhile, I was making her bed. Only Viola Lynch gave me a knowing look and teased me. "You aren't a roommate at all, are you? You're clearly her personal maid." I merely smiled without answering. That day, Sophie casually tossed me the new Chanel purse she had bought. "This color suits you. Use it." When I took the purse with a grin, Viola happened to walk past the doorway. The weekend Sophie went abroad on vacation. Viola and I were the only ones left in the dorm. "Eve, do you know what everyone in class calls you behind your back?" Sophie's pet. The next day, my boyfriend, Aaron Sanders, the campus heartthrob, asked me to meet him at the track field. Viola stood beside him with red eyes. When he saw me, he frowned deeply. "Eve, can you stop being so pathetic? You became someone's pet over a single purse? Viola's family might be poor, but even she has more dignity than you." Viola tugged at his sleeve and whispered, "Aaron, don't say that about her. I'm not worth it." Aaron's slogan and then poorly chuckled. "Wait, for real?" Had no one noticed that Sophie and I share the same last name? I adjusted the strap of my Chanel purse and chuckled. "Oh, Viola, you've been dying to say that for a while, haven't you? What? You want this purse too? Too bad you can't afford it." Viola's face turned red, her lips trembling as she took a step back. Aaron frowned deeply and moved in front of her, his voice full of disappointment as he said, "Eve, I never thought you were like this." I tilted my head. "What am I like?" He enunciated each word. "When did you become so arrogant and cruel? Viola's family is struggling, and you deliberately flaunted your wealth to humiliate her. Do you have no conscience?" He looked at me with open disgust. I went still. Arrogant and cruel? I suddenly remembered Aaron stopping me outside the library a year ago. His youthful smile had been as bright as the summer sun. "Eve, you're the most cheerful girl I've ever met. You're like the sunshine. When you smile, the whole campus lights up." His ears had turned bright red. "Will you be my girlfriend? I want to keep seeing you smile." So this was it. Once he stopped loving me, my cheerfulness became obnoxious, and the sunshine became blinding. My chest tightened achingly. Viola pulled at Aaron's sleeve. Her voice was soft and fragile, and tears welled up in her eyes. "Aaron, don't blame Eve. This is my fault. I only wanted you to talk her out of being Sophie's." She trailed off and bit her lip as though she could not bear to say it out. But she wouldn't listen, and then she humiliated me with that purse. Her voice trailed off, and her eyes reddened. Meanwhile, Aaron's expression softened even more. The commotion drew the attention of nearby students, and small groups gathered around us. Some recognized the Chanel purse on my shoulder. Others recognized Viola. "Isn't that Sophie's lackey? Since when does she carry Chanel?" When the maid gets a handout, she starts treating herself as a proper lady. 2. Keep your voice down. Her owner might hear you. Her owner's abroad, so she's just staying with no one watching after her now. Haha. Their insults came one after another, loud enough to make sure I heard them. It was like they had it all coordinated. Some even covered their mouths as they laughed, while others looked me up and down as though they were looking at some product for sale. Aaron listened without saying a word in my defense as he looked at me exactly the way they did. Viola hid her face behind his arm, her shoulders trembling, but I caught her smirking. I almost laughed. It was only a Chanel purse. I had a walk-in closet full of purses like it. I did not like drawing attention to myself or receiving any special treatment, so I had never mentioned my family. Everyone had assumed I was my sister's lackey. Sophie worried about me and had insisted that I move into her dorm room, so we could look after each other. I took a deep breath. "I'll carry whatever purse I want. I don't think that's any of your business, right?" I did not expect that to strike a nerve, and Viola instantly raised her voice. Viola's eyes welled up with tears, but she held her head up high, even as she loudly questioned me. "Eve, what gives you the right to talk to me like that? Yes, I'm poor. My family isn't well off too, and I've never carried a Chanel purse in my life, but you can't afford luxury goods either, so you became someone else's pet. What gives you the right to show off in front of me?" Everyone around us turned to stare at us, while I simply laughed out of anger. I did not even mention her, but she was already playing the victim card. I stepped forward and looked down at her. "Viola, what makes you think I can't afford it?" Her lips opened, but Aaron let out a scornful laugh before she could answer it as he gave me an impatient look. "Eve, who are you trying to fool? Other people might not know how you live, but I do. You wear the same few outfits over and over, and you always order the cheapest food in the cafeteria. Last month, you spent forever calculating how to save $5 on your phone bill. At least Viola doesn't pretend to be someone she isn't. What do you have?" He spread his hands, his voice dripping with contempt. "No matter what designer purses you have, they are all imitations anyway. Aren't you ashamed to use someone else's handout to humiliate Viola?" I could hear the low chuckles from all around me, as pain rose in my chest. Last month was Aaron's birthday. I saw a post about a limited edition game console some guy's girlfriend had bought him, and Aaron sent it to me with an envious emoji. I wanted to earn enough money myself to give him a present I could be proud of. I took a job at a cafe near campus and stood for 8 hours at a time until my feet were too swollen to fit into my shoes. I tutored high school students and spent 2 hours on the bus every day, talking until my throat burned. At last, I saved enough. But when he opened the present, he barely glanced at the console before rushing off to an internet cafe with his roommates. Maybe he had already forgotten all about it. I took a deep breath and forced the pain down. "Are you done?" I turned to Aaron as I enunciated each word. "Whether I can afford it is my business. What does it have to do with any of you? Move." I turned around and started walking away, and the crowd parted for me. I had taken only 2 steps when Aaron called aft. By then, I understood that Viola had never wanted friendship. She wanted Aaron, and she wanted everyone to believe that I was a shameless rich girl pretending to be poor. Aaron accepted every lie because it made him feel like a hero defending her. I stopped trying to explain myself. The family name they mocked belonged to me, and the father they called a servant was the chairman of Lane Group. I had hidden my identity because I wanted to be treated like an ordinary student. Instead, they used my silence as permission to humiliate me. When Aaron struck me and demanded another apology, I finally decided to stop protecting their pride. I called my father and told him exactly what had happened. The people around me laughed, certain that no one would come. Then the sound of a helicopter spread across the campus. The crowd looked up as it descended toward the path. In that instant, every lie Viola had told and every insult Aaron had thrown at me was about to collapse in front of everyone.
He pointed at me.
I sent the message, then tapped open my contact and blocked the number. The screen went dark, and I went back to scrubbing the sheets. The next morning, my phone woke me up by vibrating more than a dozen times. Still half asleep, I opened it and found a long string of messages from my roommates with a link at the top. The headline read, "Shocking news. The truth about Central University's wealthy heiress and her maid. Is the girl always besides Sophie an imposter?" I was wide awake then after reading the headline. I opened the link. The post had gone up on the university's message board at 3 o'clock that morning. The post listed every one of my supposed offenses since the beginning of the university semester. This woman only wants to stick to rich people. She looks down on students from ordinary families like us. I'm ashamed to even attend the same university as someone like her. At the bottom was an anonymous comment from a so-called insider. He would have recognized Viola's tone and wording anywhere. The post had already reached the top of the forum, and the comments seemed endless. Someone tagged Aaron's account. When I opened it, I found his reply beneath the comment. Hundreds of people had liked his replies and praised him for getting out before it was too late. Chasing him? He had forgotten how desperately he had begged me to go out with him. He locked my phone and sat on the bed, staring at the gray sky outside. Before I could gather my thoughts, the university counselor called. "Eve, please come to my office." My counselor, Miss Carter, turned a stack of papers around and pushed it toward me. It was a printout of the message board posts with several long sections of comments highlighted. She frowned and tapped the post. "The whole university is talking about this. Trying to one-up other students, flaunting your wealth, and bullying someone on financial aid have made the department look terrible. The administration is already asking questions. How about this? Apologize to Viola, and we can put this behind us." I repeated the word. Apologize? She threw a private laundry into my wash basin, spread lies on the message board that my father worked for the Lane family, that I was their servant, and turned the entire university against me. "And you want me to apologize to her?" Miss Carter's expression darkened. "Watch your attitude. Are you trying to make this even worse?" I stood up straight, and the chair legs screeched against the tile. "Miss Carter, you don't have to worry about this. When my parents return to Central City, you can speak to them yourself." Her frown deepened. "Then bring them here. I want to see what kind of parents could spoil a child this badly. My father's name is Torben Lane. Would you like me to call him for you?" I said with a smile. Her pen slipped from her hand and hit the desk. Her lips moved without a sound as she searched the directory and stopped at one name. The anger was instantly drained from her face, leaving her pale with an unreadable expression on it. "You're the daughter of Lane Group's chairman of the board? Why didn't you say so earlier?" I did not answer, as I simply opened the door and left. Before I reached the dorm, two figures approached from the far end of the tree-lined path. Viola had linked her arm through Aaron's and pressed close against him. Her swollen eyes made it look as though she had just been crying. Aaron leaned toward her as he spoke, his expression gentle. Then they saw me. Viola paused and clung to him even tighter while Aaron's expression turned cold, but Viola spoke first. "Eve, I didn't mean to do it. I honestly didn't know the post would turn into such a big problem. I only complained once in our dorm group chat. I don't know who took a screenshot and posted it. Please don't be angry with me. I'm sorry, alright?" Tears welled up in her red eyes as she spoke while Aaron put an arm around her shoulders. The way they did that so easily grossed me out. I suddenly laughed. "Are you done putting on this act? You've had your eyes on Aaron for a long time, haven't you? When he was my boyfriend, all you could do was play the weak and helpless damsel in front of him." Aaron pulled her behind him and snapped at me.
"Eve."
I ignored him and kept smiling at Viola. "Let me make this clear today. You went to all this trouble to steal a piece of trash like Aaron? You shouldn't have bothered. You can have a loser like him for free." Everything went silent for a moment. Then Aaron raised his hand. My head rang, and I had no time to dodge as he struck me on the left cheek. It felt as though a hammer had struck my head. I staggered 2 steps sideways and my knee hit the stairs, sending pain burning through it. My cheek was on fire. My ears rang and stars burst in my vision. Aaron stood over me on the steps, his chest heaving and his right hand clenched into a fist. "Eve, don't think I won't do it again. I've been too easy on you. Apologize to Viola now or I'll make you do it." I raised my head and looked at him, then at Viola behind him. She pretended to be frightened, but she looked delighted. There was no avoiding it now. I pulled out my phone. I blinked until my eyes watered and let my voice shake. "Dad, my boyfriend hit me. He said he would force me to apologize, too." Laughter spread through the crowd. "Is your servant father coming along to apologize with you?" Then, at that moment, the thundering sound of a helicopter surrounded the university. It was not long until a helicopter descended. The helicopter touched down only a few yards away. The wind from the blades sent everyone's clothes and hair flying. Students shielded their faces as the crowd scattered backward. Then the door opened. 3 men in black suits stepped out first. The last man descended slowly. Torben Lane, my father, the chairman of Lane Group, the same man whose company owned half the buildings surrounding Central University. The laughter disappeared. Aaron's face went completely white. Viola stared at my father, then at me, as if her brain couldn't make the connection. My father walked straight toward me. He didn't look at Aaron. He didn't look at Viola. He looked at the red mark across my cheek. His expression changed.
"Eve."
I stood up, brushing dust from my clothes. "I'm fine, Dad." He reached out and gently touched my cheek. Who did this? Nobody answered. My father slowly turned toward the crowd. Who hit my daughter? The entire courtyard became painfully quiet. Aaron swallowed. I looked at him. You wanted me to call my servant father, didn't you? His lips trembled. Eve, I didn't know. You didn't know what? I stepped toward him. That my last name was Lane? Aaron's face drained of color. That my father was the chairman? He couldn't speak. I smiled. Or that the Chanel purse you called a handout cost less than the watch you bought yourself with the money I gave you? A few students gasped. Aaron immediately shook his head. I can explain. You don't need to. My father looked at him. You struck my daughter. Aaron's knees nearly buckled. It was a misunderstanding. My father didn't even raise his voice. Your university will handle the disciplinary matter. My lawyers will handle everything else. Aaron's face collapsed. Mr. Lane, please. I didn't know who she was. My father stared at him. That's exactly the problem. He turned away from Aaron as though he wasn't worth another second. Then he looked at Viola. And you. Viola's eyes widened. You spread the rumors. I didn't. My father held up his phone. We have the dorm group chat, the message board logs, the screenshots, and security footage from yesterday. Viola's face turned ghostly white. My father continued. You can explain everything to the university. Viola suddenly rushed toward me. Eve, please. She grabbed my sleeve. I was jealous. That's all. I never thought it would become this serious. I pulled my arm away. You didn't accidentally ruin my reputation. I looked directly into her eyes. You worked very hard at it. She started crying. Aaron tried to reach for her. I laughed. Don't worry. You two can comfort each other. Aaron looked at me desperately. Eve, I really loved you. I stared at him for a moment. Then I shook my head. No. His expression froze. You loved the version of me you thought you could understand. I glanced at the crowd. And the moment you thought I was beneath you, you showed me exactly who you were. My father placed a hand on my shoulder. Come home. I nodded. As I walked toward the helicopter, my phone began exploding with notifications. The university had issued a statement. Then Lane Group released one. Then the student forum moderators deleted the original post. Within an hour, everyone knew the truth. Eve Lane wasn't Sophie's maid. She was Sophie's younger sister, the second daughter of the Lane family. And the Chanel purse everyone had mocked? It had been a birthday gift from Sophie. By lunchtime, the same students who had laughed at me were flooding my messages. Sorry. I didn't know. Please don't be angry. I only repeated what I heard. I deleted them all. I didn't need their apologies. What I wanted was much simpler. I wanted Sophie to come home. Because there was one person who had been strangely quiet through all of this. My older sister. And when I checked my phone again, I finally saw her message. Sophie. Eve. Don't forgive anyone. A second message appeared. Sophie. I'm coming home. I smiled. For once, I wasn't going to clean up after my sister. This time we were going to clean up the mess together. Sophie arrived that evening. The moment she stepped out of the car, the entire dorm courtyard went quiet. She wasn't alone. Her 8 bodyguards followed behind her, and for once, nobody laughed at them. Sophie walked straight toward me. I expected her to apologize. Instead, she hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. Eve. Her voice shook. I'm sorry. I laughed softly. You don't have to apologize. I do. She pulled back and looked at my cheek. Her expression changed. Who hit you? Aaron. She turned around. Aaron had been waiting near the entrance with Viola. The moment Sophie looked at him, he stepped backward. Sophie smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. So you're Aaron. He swallowed. Sophie, I can explain. I don't want an explanation. She pulled out her phone. I want you to listen. She pressed play. It was a recording from the previous day. Aaron's voice filled the courtyard. When did you become so arrogant and cruel? Then Viola's voice. I only wanted you to talk her out of being Sophie's. Then my own voice. You want this purse too? Too bad you can't afford it. Sophie stopped the recording. That's everything you needed to hear. Aaron's face was pale. Sophie looked at him. You called my sister a maid. He lowered his head. I didn't know she was your sister. Sophie laughed. That's your defense? She stepped closer. You treated her badly, because you thought she was poor. Aaron said nothing. And now you're sorry because she's rich. His face reddened. I really did love her. Then you should have treated her well when you thought she had nothing. Aaron couldn't answer. Sophie turned toward Viola. And you. Viola immediately began crying. Sophie, I really admired you. I never wanted to hurt Eve. Sophie stared at her. You admired me? Yes. Then, why did you spend months pretending my sister was my servant? Viola's tears stopped. Sophie continued. You weren't jealous of Eve. She smiled. You were jealous that she had something you wanted. Viola's face tightened. Aaron. The name left Sophie's mouth like a verdict. You wanted her boyfriend. Viola lowered her head. I didn't. Save it. Sophie turned to me. Come on. We walked inside. For the first time since entering Central University, I wasn't following behind her. I walked beside her. That night, Sophie sat on my bed while I opened my closet. She stared at the rows of designer bags. You really hid all of these? I shrugged. I didn't want people treating me differently. She picked up a limited edition handbag. Eve, you know you could have told me. I know. Then why didn't you? I smiled. Because I liked being your little sister. She stared at me. You still are. I laughed. You're 21, Sophie. Stop acting like my mother. She threw a pillow at me. For the first time that week, I laughed without forcing it. The next morning, Central University announced that the investigation into the harassment campaign was complete. Viola received disciplinary action for spreading false information and violating student conduct rules. Aaron was suspended for assault. His scholarship committee also opened a review after discovering that he had lied about several financial documents. But the biggest shock came 3 days later. Aaron came to find me. I was sitting outside the library when he approached. He looked exhausted.
Eve.
I didn't look up from my book.
What?
I lost everything. I turned a page. I'm sorry to hear that. You could help me. That made me laugh. Why would I? Because you loved me. I closed my book. That was before I realized you only loved me when you thought I was beneath you. His eyes reddened. I made a mistake.
No.
I stood. You made a choice. He stared at me. And now you're living with it. I walked past him. Then I heard Viola calling his name from across the courtyard. They looked at each other. Neither moved. I almost felt sorry for them. Almost. That afternoon, Sophie found me in the cafeteria. She dropped into the seat across from me. Guess what?
What?
I've decided something. I raised an eyebrow.
What?
She grinned. Since everyone thinks you're my maid, I'm going to make you my roommate again next semester. I stared at her. Absolutely not. She laughed.
Why?
Because I'm done making your bed. She gasped dramatically. My own sister has betrayed me. I laughed. Get your 8 bodyguards to do it. Sophie pointed at me. You've changed. Maybe. I smiled. But I think I like this version of me better. And for the first time, I understood something. I hadn't lost my boyfriend. I hadn't lost my reputation. I had only lost the people who were never worth keeping. And that was a pretty good trade. The investigation ended within a week. The university confirmed that Viola had spread the rumors, manipulated screenshots, and deliberately encouraged students to humiliate me. She was expelled from the dorm and placed on disciplinary probation. Aaron's suspension became permanent after the university reviewed the security footage of him hitting me. His scholarship was revoked. His parents came to campus begging me to drop the matter. I refused. A few days later, Aaron found me outside the library.
Eve, please.
I made a mistake. I closed my book. You made a choice. I loved you.
No.
You loved the version of me you thought was poor. He went silent. I smiled. And now that you know I'm Elaine, you suddenly love me again? His face turned red. I walked away. As for Viola, she tried transferring to another university, but the story had already spread. Everywhere she went, people knew what she had done. Sophie and I stayed together throughout the rest of the semester. But things changed between us. I stopped carrying her bags. I stopped making her bed. I stopped running errands whenever she snapped her fingers. And Sophie actually loved it. Finally, she said one afternoon, you're acting like my sister instead of my assistant. I laughed. Don't get used to it.
She grinned.
Then she handed me a Chanel bag. For you. I stared at it. Sophie. What? I already have enough. She shrugged. Then give it away. I laughed and accepted it. This time, I didn't care who saw. Because I finally understood that hiding my identity hadn't made me humble. It had simply taught people that they could disrespect me without consequences.
So, I stopped hiding.
By graduation, everyone at Central University knew my name. Not as Sophie's maid. Not as Aaron's ex-girlfriend. Not as the poor girl carrying someone else's purse. I was Eve Lane, the younger daughter of Lane Group's chairman. And the funniest part? The people who once laughed when I walked past them now stood up straight whenever they saw me. I never asked them to. They simply remembered what happened when they underestimated Elaine. And honestly, I preferred it that way.